Hello, everyone, and welcome to SuttonsDaze. It has been a hot minute. I appreciate you hanging out and waiting for me to come back. The month of September did not treat me very well, but I am back. And today we are going to make some amazing split pea soup. Yes, we are, and we're going to can it up so that we've got it all winter long. It's a favorite around here. I made a batch earlier, beginning of the month actually, and Phil has been enjoying pint after pint after my surgery, so I have to restock and get it all up and going. The recipe that I'm using is coming out of the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. It's really, really good, and it is on page 403. They call it split pea soup, parentheses, habitant soup. Okay, I don't know what the habitant soup comes from, but maybe if you do, that is fantastic. I am making a big batch of it. So it's basically a triple batch of this recipe. Their recipe nets you, I think, if memory serves, you get 2-quart jars out of their recipe. Okay, so I am going to be tripling this recipe. And if my math is correct, which there's no telling right now, it'll have 12 pints of soup for us. I have my split peas. I have my diced ham. I'm using Thrive carrots and Thrive onions because that's what's handy. I don't have fresh available and I'm not in any condition to go to a store right now. So this is what we're doing. I hope that you enjoy this as much as I do. I think that split pea soup is one of the best soups to have ever on the pantry. It is just so good, so comforting, so warming. And if you're like Phil, you can have a little bit of soup with your crackers. You know what I mean? I will warn you that you're not going to want, if you're used to making split pea soup at home, and you just really, you like a nice thick split pea soup, right? Then you don't want to make it as thick because it will thicken once you can it. So this was not a thick split pea soup. But remember, while you're canning it, it is continuing to cook. So it will thicken up more in the jar. And that's fine because it's not going in there thick. Let's get started. I have my handy dandy pot here and I have 24 cups of water in this pot. I'm kind of hoping it all fits. I think it will. We will find out. So I'm going to get the heat going on that, okay? And Phil will be here to move the pots and stuff for me, but we're going to get started on this. So for this, you're going to want, I'm doing it, like I said, a triple batch, 3 cups of dried split peas. Each one of those bags that I showed you from Walmart, they're 16 ounce. So those are 2 cups each. So I will be adding all 3 bags into the pot and we'll get those heating up. Yep, I misjudged. I had to have Phil come in and empty the pot into a bigger pot. The one thing that the book does is the book tells you to take the peas, add them to the water, and then heat them, cover and boil gently for about an hour or until the peas are tender, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore that because I want to add the carrots because they're freeze-dried or dehydrated and the onions because they're freeze-dried. I want to add those in now. The actual ham I will add in after we get to that point, after the hour. So I'm going to put in, it's for the big pot, the triple the recipe, okay? We're going to add in 3 cups of the freeze-dried onions, or just 3 cups of onions. And then it says if you're using regular carrots to use 1.5 cups of sliced carrots if you're using raw carrots. I'm not using raw carrots, I'm using dehydrated, and Thrive carrots tend to really sweeten things up. So I'm only going to add about 1.5 cups, period, okay, for the whole, well, there. So 1.5 cups of the dehydrated carrots because they are so sweet. I don't want to make the soup super sweet, but I do want these to cook down with the split peas while they're doing their due. So we'll be back in an hour and then we will keep making our wonderful, beautiful split pea soup. So good. So we cooked this for an hour. You see the peas are very mushy, right? And it's still very watery, but do you see how much the carrots beefed up, the dehydrated carrots? It's good stuff. It smells so good. So good. And of course, I let it get away from me for a minute, but here we go. So now we're going to add in the ham. Now, I know people will ask, I thought you couldn't can ham. You cannot can ham for the sake of canning ham. And it's because they have not tested it, okay? That is the main reason right there. But when it's an ingredient like this and it's not the entirety of the jar's contents, it's okay. It's good. So we have, let's see, I just added 16 ounces of diced ham. There we go. So I'm going to simmer this for just a few more minutes, and then we will start filling jars. It's just that simple, my friends. It's just that simple. Oh, this is going to be so good. Stick blenders are your friend. If you want to blend this up finer, okay, you can definitely do that. That is not a problem. I would do it before you put the ham in, though, and then add your ham. But it's also not necessary because, like I said, it's going to continue to cook while you can it. But it will separate a little bit. So as you're filling your jars, you want to stir it up really good. And you're going to go to an inch headspace with all of your jars. Now, the interesting part about this is, you know, the soup recipe at the National Center for Home Food Preservation, right? They have your basic soup recipe. So whatever kind of soup, but half of it should be liquid, and the other half can be the chunkier parts. Well, with this, that's not the case. With this, and it's a lower time frame. I'm trying to remember. I want to say 65 minutes for pints. But with this, because it is a bean, because it has the meat, because it's a thicker soup, that does not apply to this soup. So you're going to can this. I'm doing pints because that's all we need. A pint is going to be like 4 meals for me, and 1 meal for Phil. So we're just going to do it in pints instead of quarts. That's the reasoning for the jars that I have. But it is going to be 75 minutes for pints or 90 minutes for quarts. That's non-negotiable. That's what they tested it at, and it's because it's a thicker soup, and it is the beans and the meat that are in here. Split pea soup is one of those soups that just warms the body, the mind, and the soul. It's a good old-fashioned kind of soup that takes very inexpensive ingredients and turns it into a very hearty meal. So for me, in my mind, it is a great soup to have up on the shelf, an easy meal to put together real quick. And one of the things that I did want to mention is, you'll notice maybe that I didn't add any salt or any pepper, because I prefer to do that when I heat it up and eat it. Depending on your sodium restrictions or not, you can make it work for you. I'm kind of a pepper freak, so I don't want to add too much to where, Phil doesn't like it. So I can always add it afterwards. This has an amazing flavor. If you have a ham bone in your freezer that you're looking to use, boil that bad boy down, make yourself some awesome ham stock, and cook your peas in that, and the flavor will be mind-boggling good. It will be really, really good. But even without it, it's still really, really good. Because of the onions, because of the ham, because of the carrots, and then, of course, those delicious and healthy peas, you're going to get a good, solid meal out of this. Okay, let me get the rest of these filled up, and I'll be back. Okay, same as always, it's time to wipe the rims, and split pea is messy, even with a funnel, as you can see. And you can see how it's already separating, but that's not an issue because it will cook, like I said, during the canning process. And even if it separates again afterwards, it's not a deal breaker. You just mix it up when you open up the jar. Okay. But I don't foresee it happening because it does thicken up during the canning process. So you want to go through. It took me a little bit to get situated because I forgot to have Phil fill the canner for me before he went out. So I had to get that all taken care of. But go in there as soon as you can and wipe the rims, get them all taken care of. because split pea turns into cement rather quickly, okay? And you don't want that between your lid and the jar. You want to make sure that that is completely off. Get that lid debris free for the greatest rate of success. There we go. This is going to take me a second. I am looking forward to stocking the shelves with this. For the last week, with everything going on, Phil has been eating split pea soup. But he's still like, no, I want more, I want more. Okay, we will make sure that you have plenty of split pea soup to tide you over for the cold weather months. We had our first freeze last night. The grass was crunchy this morning. But we did get the squash and the pumpkins out of the garden. So I'm very happy about that. They are all now resting comfortably, waiting for my attention a little bit later. I also wanted to mention that I got 13 pints and 1 quart out. So it would have been 15 pints out of that batch of soup. And I just put the quart in the fridge. Phil can have it for dinner. And these ones I'm going to can up. But because of my weight restrictions, I can't pull down my big canner, so it's going to take me 2 loads to get this canned up. I have the water heating up right now in the canner, and very shortly we'll be adding the jars to that. As always, and forever, we're using Forjars canning lids. These are the best lids on the market, bar none. I am so happy with these. If you did not catch Monday Night Live this week, we had Mike from Forjars on, and he let us in on a bunch of really great news for the company, ways that they're growing, ways that they're improving, but also the fact that if you've noticed on their website, they have had, quote, sale prices, since introduction, and they have the, regular price also listed there. Well, due to the cost of, how everything literally is going up, they are going to be taking away those sale prices. So today, which is the 29th of September, and tomorrow, which is the 30th of September, 2022, are the last days to get those sale prices. My friends, this is not going away, and I'll be talking about this a little bit later this week. This is not going away. This is going to be staying, and being able to put up food and take care of our homes, our families, with good quality food that we do ourselves is going to be of optimum importance for years to come. So if you have the ability to stock up on lids, now's the time to do it. Catch that sale price while you can. The discount code is still applicable. It will still be applicable in the future. The Suttons 10, the link and the code are down below. Stock up if you can now, okay? And he said that orders $50 or more are free shipping in the continental United States, okay? But they do ship. They've shipped to our friend Sven in Norway. They've shipped to our friends in Australia. They've shipped to our friends in the UK. And even if you have to call to put in those orders, you can still use the discount code Suttons10. You don't want to miss out on a good quality lid that we just don't find in this day and time anymore. I've had quite a spike in people mentioning that their lids are buckling. And so I want to really focus on this for a minute, okay? When you put your rings on, they're finger tight. You're not cranking them on, okay? You're going until they stop, and then they are finger tight. You don't want to over tighten them. The only time that lids will buckle is if you put that ring on too tight. That is the only time that they will buckle. So you have to be cognizant of how you're putting those rings on. It's very, very important. Trust the process. Now, do you have ugly rings? I have ugly rings. I have ugly rings. Do you know why? Because they're a tool, not an engagement ring, my friends, okay? So if they are ugly, it does not deter from their usability unless they won't go on. Like this one's probably, no, that one's past its due date, okay? So that one won't go on. But we'll just grab another one and we'll put it on there. So it's just a tool, not an engagement ring. There's no need to stress about it. That means that they are well used, well loved, and that you have good quality food up on your shelves. And that is the primary goal here, okay? Because this soup here is better than any that you will buy commercially made. Absolutely. So we're going to fit the ones that we can into the canner, and then we are going to let it come up to a steady stream of steam. Okay, so we've got those in the canner. We're now going to put our lid on. We're going to turn it until it doesn't turn anymore, and we're going to let that vent a steady stream of steam. You do not have to see it. You can hear it, and I'll show you how to optically see it when it starts coming out. A steady stream of steam, if you can't see it, it is still an audible thing. You can still hear it, and that's what it sounds like. But if you want to see it, hold up a lid, and you can see it. You want to let that go for 10 minutes at a full steam like that before you put your regulator on. I'm using a weighted regulator, so I'm not paying attention to the gauge. And once that starts doing a light hula dance, we'll adjust the temperature and we'll let it go for 75 minutes. I have my Vanna White of SuttonsDaze who's going to help me because of course I overdid it. So the canner completely depressurized on its own, and now we're going to take off the weighted regulator. Okay, and now we're going to take the top off. Remember, when you're taking the top off, to tip it away from you because you don't want steam coming up in your face. Just like that. There you go. Okay, and then you just set that over to the wherever it goes. And we're going to start pulling these jars out. There's your jar lifter, my dear. Other way. Yep. Okay. And just set them on the cookie sheet there. Oh yeah. Troubling and a bubbling. Let me change cameras and I'll bring you down. Okay, see, that's bubbling, so that's a good sign. Very nice. Now, you see how they separated? That is absolutely normal. That's a normal thing there. And don't be worried about it, because when you go to open them up, you're just going to give them a good stir anyway, and they'll be nice and thick. Absolutely love these. So we have a total of 13 jars. I've got one more canner load that's got to go in with the last 4. 9 went into this canner load. And then we have split pea soup for the shelf for the winter. We'll probably end up making more because it's really good and we both really like it. Like I said, it's one of those great comfort foods that just warms the soul. Absolutely. So definitely give this a try. Thank you, Mr. Sutton, sir. Give this a try, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comment section below, and next time, remember, until next time, be safe.